Here's an unfortunate question we have to ask ourselves. How many homeless will freeze to death because of Democrats' policies? Welcome to the Jason Rantz Show, presented by None Better Tax Resolution. On a frigid Sunday morning at Freeway Park in Seattle, the homeless man on your screen right now was huddled next to a makeshift fire, simply trying to stay warm. Now, by Seattle standards, it wasn't even that cold when this photo was taken. Certainly not when you compare it to what it'll be like as we get closer to Christmas. And yet, when you're living outside without bare essentials, an unremarkably cold night can actually be deadly. This scene is a stark representation of the conditions Seattle's homeless population are going to face during this winter. And yet, rather than move them indoors, Seattle, King County, Washington State Democrats, they hardly lift a finger to act. Over the last few years, King County recorded historically high numbers of homeless deaths, the highest in 2 decades. At least 5 people died during the last cold snap in January due to exposure to cold temperatures. And obviously, the dangers extend beyond the cold. The Seattle area has seen a surge in fires spreading from encampments. These fires often result from attempts to simply stay warm, sometimes due to, your standard bonfires, but also sometimes due to broken down heaters or fires perilously close to propane containers. Seattle's approach to homelessness, often being labeled as compassionate, allows the homeless to remain at outdoor encampments with minimal to no intervention. And that policy, presented as some sort of noble attempt to respect personal autonomy, does little more than expose already vulnerable individuals to life-threatening conditions. The refusal to consistently enforce policies that would move people indoors stems from these claims that sweeps are somehow inhumane. One might argue that allowing people to suffer and die on the streets, that's true inhumanity. Every night that someone sleeps outside in freezing temperatures is a potential emergency. Waiting for some sort of severe weather event to open additional shelters, that is a reactive approach, and it ends up costing people their lives. Proactive measures like consistently available shelter options and maybe policies that require people to use them, that's what's needed right this second. We're in the middle of a homelessness emergency, and yet Democratic leaders in Seattle, they're not treating it like one. We need sweeps coupled with policies that prioritize the immediate safety of people via detox, mental health treatment, shelter, instead of this misguided interpretation of compassion. If we don't do that, we're going to see another winter of needless death. And it doesn't have to be this way. But a more aggressive approach requires some, political will, and maybe even a reevaluation of what true compassion truly looks like. It's time to act decisively to protect our most vulnerable people from the preventable tragedies of freezing to death on our streets. Otherwise, we might just hit another record. I sat down with our local tax expert and advocate, Greg Nunn from None Better Tax Resolution. Tell me a little bit about the Fresh Start program, because again, based on how it's promoted, it seems really, really simple.
This Fresh Start program and that phrase has been around for many, many, many years now. But it's a great marketing tool to say, hey, fresh start. And in a way, for those that qualify, it is. What it essentially is an offer in compromise. And to get that, there's 2 main criteria a person must qualify for. 1, they must have limited or no equity in assets. So generally, anyone in the Puget Sound region that owns a home and has for several years, they're going to have a lot of equity. They won't qualify. And the other is an income level. And that all depends upon your family size about how much income that could be. But both of those standards need to be met to qualify. Most people do not.
If you're having trouble with the IRS, then call Greg Nunn of None Better Tax Resolution. From stress to success with IRS Solutions. 425-947-1967 or Google NUNN, None Better Tax Resolution. Did you like that commentary? Make sure you subscribe to the podcast of The Jason Rantz Show. Get it at KTTH.com or wherever it is you download your podcasts.